Kosari test. We have 20 minutes. We're just going to start. We're going to start Chafifah. Chafifah. So in the world of Chafifah, when all the dust settles, is we really have four things we're going to have to keep in mind. There's four things we have to keep in mind. One is called Iyun. One is called to wash and comb the hair. One is called to wash the Beis Hastarim, the Kamatim. And one is called to wash the rest of the body. So we have four different dinim. The basic number one question we have to ask ourselves are, do we know the sources for these four dinim? And are they daraisa, derabanim, or minhagim? So to go in order, number one, Iyun, of course, if you don't know that one's daraisa, you should probably just take an early vacation and, l'chayra. So Iyun is daraisa. It comes from a Gemara Baba Kama, Daf Pei Beis Amud Aleph, in which the Gemara answers that daraisa liyune dilma miktar. So Iyun is daraisa. Number two, after Iyun comes to wash and comb the hair, which l'chayra you would call Chafifah. That, of course, is the takana of Ezra. Now, I say to wash and comb the hair is the takana of Ezra, because that's what Rav Rishonim hold. Of course, you've seen that there's a bahag that he says that Chafifah b'kol haguf, which Rashi mimics the words as well, or I don't know which one runs first, but the basic consensus is that the Iker Chafifah, the Iker Takana of Ezra, is on Lerchais v'lisroik sayra. Number three comes along. Now there's another din, and this is a din called to wash out the Kamatim. Beis Hastarim, the Kamatim. This is the Gemara in Niddah Daf Samach Vav, which is Rava Amar Rava Yulailam Yilamir Adam B'Teich Beisai Sheteisha Madicha Beis Kamatim Be'mayim. And those are your four dinim that really every single mikvah is going to have to ensure that these four. And the rest of your body. And the rest of your body, which I did not say where that comes from, thank you. And that's the minhag. Lir chayitz kol aguf. Lir chayitz kol aguf. That's the Bahag and Rashi, they learn that that's the Iker Takon of Ezra. That's Pashtus, not what we hold. Pashtus, we go with Rav Rishonim that hold that the Iker Takon of Ezra was only on the Saira. Lirchitz v'lisroik Saira. When it comes to be Reichitz Shar HaGof, that is going to be Midin Minhag Taif. That's part number one. Now, we're going to have to ask ourselves the question, when it comes to Lirchitz Kol HaGof, how do we accomplish that? This new minhag, which the Rishonim are already talking about, how do we accomplish that? How do we accomplish that? Which we'll get back to in one moment. Now, when we talk about the hair, what hair is included? Are your eyebrows, eyelids, and whatnot included? Beis erva, beis shachi. If there is hair, the shach seems to say yes. The shach says b'kol makim sar. B'kol makim sar. Shach sivkatan al. The first shach says is nichlal in the takanas of Ezra. Lahalacha, it seems to say that there are those that argue. They quote Rav Elyashiv that seems to say that it's, the eyelashes, eyelids are not nichlal in the takana. Not such an afkamina, more than, just to know what the ikar takana is on. But now, I guess not the $1 million question. We'll get to the $1 million question in one moment. But the big question is, how are you makayim Chafifah and Iyun? Which, to ask it like the way the Taz says it is Iyun Chafifah, is Chafifah Iyun, are they one and the same? The Taz, of course, believes that they are one and the same. Of course, who argues on the Taz l'chayra? The Sidrei Torah, the Shirei Torah, yes. The Sidrei Torah and Skif Katanei, l'chayra argues on the Taz, and he says, no, they're two different things. Why do I say l'chayra? Because our achrayim, as Heintig, as Rabbi Reuben, the Marakayin, that he wants to suggest a novel approach between the Taz and the Sidrei Torah, and he wants to say that the nekuda is if you're cognizant of what you're doing. He wants to learn that the Taz in the vacuum says that when you wash and you scrub your body, you're Mekayim Iyun, whether you were thinking about it or not. And the Sidrei Taira is Nikudas. What are you talking about? Iyun is something with Das, something with cognizance. And therefore, he wants to suggest that perhaps there's no real machlaikis, is that Kol Zman, you're going to wash your body with your brain on, which any woman who's washing her body to go to the mikvah is going to do. He wants to say that l'chayra. That's what he suggests. This is how the Marakayan suggests. Again, it's debatable. That obviously would be the novelty of his approach. The Chutshani, just for one more Marakayan, comes along and he says that when one is dealing with removing a chatzitza, harehu kimay iyun. That is iyun, and therefore at the time of rechitza, sima leiv, you should put your mind shloti chatzitza, and then that is iyun min hatayra. Lemaisa, one point that everyone is going to agree is that in an area of your body that you can't see, how you're going to do iyun, so you're going to do iyun by washing that part of the body, by touching that part of the body, as the Taz etc. points out. But now, here comes the $1 million question. Both of you finished Kuf Sadi test or are close to finish Kuf Sadi test. And if I were to ask you, based on the knowledge that you read, what is the Seder of the Yom HaTfilah? How do you do a Chafifah? So you would tell me the following ingredients. The order that you would tell me, maybe we would debate. But you would tell me that you're gonna have to cut your nails, and you're gonna have to shower, you're gonna have to scrub your hair, you're gonna have to comb your hair, and you're gonna have to wash out all the kamatim and the base of storm of your body, and you're gonna have to do iyun and go into the mikvah.
Where does cutting nails come from?
So I threw in cutting nails because you all learn Kuf Sadichas, and you all knew that if you don't cut your nails, it's going to be a chatzitza. No one in Kuf Sadichas does mention that is a critical. That is true. But that's what you would say. Is there anything else anyone would mention that I did not mention? Again, I'll just say it again to be clear. I'm going to throw in the nails because we know that's valid. I'm gonna 1 second. I'm gonna cut my nails, clean my nails, and cut my nails. I'm going to wash and scrub the body. I'm going to let me be precise. Again, I'm going to clean and cut my nails. I'm going to shower and scrub my body. I'm going to scrub my hair and comb my hair. I'm going to wash the kamatim base of starma of my body. And then I'm going to do iyun. How am I going to do iyun? I'm going to do a combination of touching parts of the body, looking at parts of the body, be some lave to the body. Maybe the mikvah lady will as well look at my body. Perhaps if there's a mirror in the mikvah, I'll look at my body. And therefore, I'm going to get everything. Is there anything that I missed? My mouth? Okay, I'm going to brush my teeth. Good. Okay, that's base of star. I included that in base star. Anything else? No. Okay. So if anyone here were to ask anyone who's ever gone to the mikvah, they will have no clue what you just spoke about. Because they're going to tell you missed the first ingredient in doing chafifah, which is the bath. But the question is, what happened? Where did this bath come from? So the earliest source, l'chayra, that I see sourced, is a Maharam Brisk. Yeah?
Why do you need a source for the bath?
Because do you need... Slow. You'll hear in a second. What's everything? We'll circle back around to what you're about to say in 1 second. The Maharam Brisk writes, Noshe Didan, Kivar Nohagu. Listen to his words. Noshe Didan, listen to saying. Noshe Didan, then we're going to hear Ramesh in a moment, which will make it even more strong. Not that he's more strong than Rambris, but in our world of contemporary halacha. Noshe Didan, Kivar Nohagu, Leishev Bambatiois, Velishois Shama Zman Rav. Our women have the minhag to sit in a bath and stay there for a while. A different place, he writes, minhag kosher v'yosher, lir chayitz ba'ambatya. Comes along Ramesha, and Ramesha first of all, in Yardei Chel Gimel Siman Nun Vav Eis Beis, was asked a shayla about a woman who's pregnant, and she has to go to the mikvah, but she was told by the doctors not to take a bath. In the Torah V'Hayra journal, he discussed what about a woman who does not have a bath. So, based on what you all saw, like Ramesha should throw out the tshuva and say, learn Kuf Sadi test. What are you bothering me about a bath? There's no such thing. But we see from this Maram Brisk, and we'll read the Lashonis of the latter Paiskim as well, that there's clearly some level of minhag that Klal Yisrael has accepted about a bath. So Ramesha first of all comes along and he says, that a woman that can't take a bath, he says it's beseder. He says tirchais b'maklachas hamikva, and it should be with paishim. Don't use too hot water. And fine. In the Torah Vayira journal, Ramesha comes along and he says toif. It's good to sit in a bath of warm water, to soften the sweat, and the cracks of the body, like around your nails, so all the garbage falls away, all that it softens up, and you can easily take it off. But if she doesn't have the bath, sagi b'shaver, in the shower, then it's going to be enough. Similarly, comes along the Shevet HaLevi, and the Shevet HaLevi writes, this is in our Sif, in Sif Katan Ches, he says, Bizman Acharoin. When's Bizman Acharoin? I mean, Shevet HaLevi was contemporary, so Bizman Acharoin, Nase Minog Kosher. It's become a Minog Kosher, Shehi Teshev Ba'ambati V'tochav Kishir Shah. Uminog Sadikimu. Calls it a minog sadikim, he throws in that you should be there for an hour. The Badi HaShulchan. And again, as you realize, everyone we're quoting is more contemporary than the next, well, not more contemporary than the next, but contemporary, as this is a contemporary discussion. The Badi HaShulchan comes along, Kavar Nohagu B'nais Yisrael, to be in the bath. The Chodshani writes, Min Hadin, there's no reason to go into bath. It's a good thing. It's to get rid of all the garbage. The Marakayin writes, and it's a minhag toiv. The Ayal Sarah writes, he discussed the case, a woman doesn't have a bath in her house. What should she do? And she's going on a Friday night. So he says she should go the night before to the mikvah, just to take a bath, so that the next day he could go and shower. So this sounds extreme. The Ray Forrest writes in his book, it's a commonly accepted practice, and that is the Pre-Torah of Forshemer writes, Minhag Kosher, to take a bath. The El Sarah in another place writes Minhag Toiv, and that is the halacha. That is the halacha. The halacha is, yes, where does it come from?
No, I'm saying I don't think you need a paisik to tell you that it's Minhag Toiv.
I'll tell you. The difference is, like in the El Sarah's case, where they don't have a bath, I would have thought, you don't have a bath, so just wash yourself well in the shower. But we see that they're clearly taking on that this minhag is a high level. There's I know stories of numerous rabbanim, whatever, in Eretz Yisrael, that people who don't have a bath, they come take a bath by the Rav's house. Now, I'm not saying that's comfortable. It might be different ethnic groups that we're not necessarily, we don't fully understand. But the point is, there's certainly a level of minhag over here. Now, it's true. Where does it come from? It comes from the fact that we saw in Kuf Sadi Ches, you saw about the whole Yisoid, that when you have scabs and whatnot, you should soak them. It comes from the fact that we see the extreme kpeda on chatzitzos, so we want to be extra careful. Lemaisa, that's the way it is. You do see, though, the only paisik that we saw that gave time was the Shevet HaLevi says Kishir Shah. No one else gives a time. And that's why it's actually interesting. I believe the contemporary Kala and Chassin classes have gotten better. It used to be that everyone was taught a half hour. Is that what everyone here was taught? And no one remembers. It used to be everyone was taught just take a bath for a half hour. And the shaila is like, what's a half hour? So the Pasha says there is no source for a half hour. And the answer is you should take a bath. That is the minhag. And it actually works. Certainly, if you think about it, for the certain areas of Beis Hastarim and certain areas of folds and crevices, and like who wrote who was it that I read? The Badi HaShulchan wrote that you have little bits around your fingers. A lot of things lemaisa come out better in a bath.
They use shampoo and soap in the shower?
We're going to get to conditioner in a moment. When do they do soap? So the pashtus is, good. So you're assuming that after the bath they take a shower. That's what you're assuming based on your question. Is that accurate?
No. What do they do in the bath? When they scrub their body down, they use soap and shampoo?
Just 1 second.
Do they scrub their body down in the bath?
When else do they scrub their body down? In the shower. So you're assuming that after the bath they're taking a shower. That's what you're assuming. Now the question is, it's a very nice assumption. The pashtus is, you could just take a bath. Why do you need to take a shower after the bath? You could just take a bath, and what do you do? And then of course, use what? Dirty water. You're obviously not a bath guy. Go talk to the bath chaver and they'll explain to you why it's good for your body. I don't know. What should I tell you? I'm not. That was a very racial statement. I don't know if that's true. You have to. Rav Nachum Taiv, you'll do a little research on that. If the bath chavra, it's unanimously that they all take a shower after their bath. Yesh latim.
You give your daughter a bath?
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Someone's being honest over here. Kids. Wow. Please tell us Rabbi he should not be doing bath time. He obviously thinks she's dirty everything when they finish, and therefore he doesn't do anything. Yeah.
Anyone who takes a bath takes a shower after, and they do the mikvah.
Yeah, that's what his suggestion was.
Yeah.
You take offense with that. I told him it was racial what he said. Okay, good. As long as we've gotten that clear, let's continue. But the answer to your question is shampoo and soap. We can talk about this over lunch. Shampoo and soap, of course, you have to do. But now we're running out of time. I want to bring out a difficult question. Do you have to comb your hair when it's wet? No. Chavro, we'll deal with your personal bath times later. I don't know what's going on over here. I heard a lot of interesting words. I hope the camera didn't pick it up. But Moshe obviously heard as well. Yeah, we have issues. So where do you comb your hair?
It's probably easier to do it when it's wet.
Does it have to be wet?
No.
Does it have to be wet?
Yeah.
Yes. Doesn't comb properly. So if you combed your hair when it's dry, does it work? So I'll just read you a line from Rabbi Forst's book. It's an interesting line, and this is a little bit of a debated line in numerous kolim throughout the world. That he writes that the Badi Shulchan deduces from the Sidrei Torah and the Chachmas Adam that the combing must be done when the hair is still wet. That's what the Badi Shulchan and the Chachmas Adam writes. That's what they write. However, continues Rabbi Forst, Sidrei Torah and Chachmas Adam merely state that a woman should not comb her hair first and then wash it. Combing is effective only if the hair has been cleaned by washing it first. If she washes her hair and combs it later, the combing may be effective even though the hair is dry at this time. There is no clear inference in any of the poskim that the hair must be wet when she combs. This is what Rabbi Forst writes in his book. There are those who question his words. If you go look at the Sidrei Torah, you go look at the Chachmas Adam, there are those that question, and they throw many different words at this Rabbi Forst. And I'm just going to leave it as a marmakim. The Eilam can look around. If you have a raya that the hair has to be wet, obviously the shaila. Forget Metzias, the shaila is going to be what happens if we have a woman that, for whatever which reason, she took a bath in the morning and she forgot, so she combed her hair when it was dry. She went to the mikvah, and the next day she's talking to her friend and she says, "By the way, when I combed my hair was dry." She did it. Now, Will's there in the world of b'diavad chatzitzas, pashas, it's not. Because she wasn't makbid, clearly, she combed her hair. The question is, if you look at the Lashon of Badi Shulchan, he says, "Should sricha lisrag asayers daf kol achsha rochsam ve'im adayin retuvim." That's what he writes. So according to the Badi Shulchan Lamashal, if one does srika with dry hair, he's sending her back to the mikvah. Because we know if you don't do srika, it's game over. So the question, and Rabbi Forrest is taking big offense to this, and he's saying, go look at the Sidrei Torah, go look at the Chachmas Adam inside, and it's not klar. Again, there's numerous diburim about this, but I just wanted to bring this up to the Eilam. It's a nice makam to think about. Now, finally, do you need a comb? Do you need a comb? Do you need a comb? Or a brush? Comb or a brush? Pispes biyad. So pispes biyad, already seen the poskim that pispes biyad is a whole shaila if it works. It's slow. I'm going one step back. I'm saying in the world of lechatchila, does a woman need a comb? You think brush is better. Why?
It covers more. It's a comb on steroids.
It's comb on steroids. What are the women taught? Does anyone know? So I'll tell you, it's interesting. I happen to think, it's an interesting theory I have. My theory is that they're taught comb. They're taught you take a comb and you comb out the hair. But any woman in the world that we live in, here, the word comb doesn't even register. They hear comb, they think brush, because that's just what you use. No one has a comb. No one has a comb. But it's just interesting that I see an email here to Rabbi Berkowitz, and they asked him, is there a need specifically to use a comb? And he writes back, Minhag Yisrael is to use a comb. The lashon of the Rishonim is masrik. It's interesting. Again, in the world of lechatchila. And finally, we're out of time. Unfortunately, we'll have to pick up from here. But finally, a big question is, what's the story with conditioner? What's the story with conditioner? This is a world war in the latter paiskim, heintig paiskim, since we've had conditioner. For example, I'll just read you the words of Rav Elyashiv. Lechatchila ein lishtamish b'chlal b'conditioner. Why? So now this is where we have to put kuf sadichas and kuf saditas together.
Shampoo is fine?
Shampoo for sure is fine. You learned the whole thing that shampoo is fine. You're supposed to use shampoo to clean the hair. Conditioner, they say, shemashir. It leaves a little bit shechva daka al asar. It leaves a thin layer on the hair.
Enough that you could call mamasha?
So this is where you have to put together the kuf sadichas or the kuf saditas together. Is there mamashais? There's a Ramesha. It's not in Tshuva. It's in Rishumi Aaron. They quote Ramesha that he says it's lunoi. He says lanoi. Other paiskim, want to make a big deal about it. We'll pick up from here. But the one point to think about is, number one, is in the world of chatzitzas, is it a chatzitza? Rabbi Felder from Lakewood has a moiridik chiddush over here, and he says, forget if you're makbid, but it's roiv. It's roiv because it's on every single hair. So he says that he's very, very nervous about this. The problem here is, anyone with curly hair, this is a very big deal. Anyone with curly hair, if you do not use conditioner, it's going to be very difficult to comb that hair. So we'll leave it from here. I'll pick it up from here.